Identity is the unseen crown that every human carries, yet most people never discover its true weight and worth. It is not something that suddenly appears. It is something that life shapes, chisels, tests, and refines. The world will try to tell you who you are. Circumstances will try to redefine you. Your past will try to limit you. But the deepest truth is this: no one can give you your identity, and no one can take it from you. It is written in the invisible language of your soul, crafted before you breathed your first breath. Identity is not about reputation or how people see you. It is about the quiet truth that lives inside your bones. There are moments when life tries to convince you that you are less than what you are. A failure whispers that you are incapable. A heartbreak tells you that you are unlovable. A disappointment tries to convince you that you are not chosen for greatness. But identity is not sculpted by emotions. It is anchored in the unshakable truth that you were designed with intention. Even when the world misunderstands you, even when your closest companions fail to see your worth, your identity remains untouched. The world can break your heart, but it cannot break your essence. Many people will live their entire lives wearing masks because they fear their true identity might not be accepted. They shape themselves according to the expectations of society, adjusting their voices, their dreams, their personalities, just to fit in. But a crown is never meant to fit in. A crown is meant to stand out. When you embrace the identity that was uniquely crafted for you, you stop competing with others because you finally understand that no one else can walk the path that belongs only to you. The moment you recognize your identity is the moment you reclaim the power that life tried to bury. Your identity becomes clearer not in moments of comfort, but in moments of crisis. When everything falls apart, you discover who you really are. When you stand alone, you learn what truly lives inside you. When you lose what you once depended on, you finally understand what was never meant to define you. You are not the mistakes you regret. You are not the voices that discouraged you. You are not the weaknesses you fear. You are the courage that rose within you despite them. You are the strength that kept you breathing when life tried to suffocate you. You are the purpose that kept whispering, "There is more." Identity is also the crown that determines every other crown. Without knowing who you are, you cannot walk in courage, because courage flows from certainty. Without identity, discipline becomes exhaustion instead of empowerment. Without identity, compassion feels like weakness instead of strength. Without identity, endurance turns into survival instead of victory. Everything you will ever become finds its roots in who you already are. That is why your identity must be the first crown you place upon your life. When you finally embrace your identity, your steps become confident, your voice becomes steady, and your vision becomes sharp. You stop begging for acceptance because you realize you were never meant to be approved by everyone, just aligned with your purpose. You stop questioning your worth because you understand your value was never meant to be measured by earthly standards. And you stop feeling threatened by others because you realize that no one can replace the blueprint of your existence. Identity is the silent power that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. When you know who you are, storms become your teachers, setbacks become your stepping stones, and challenges become invitations to rise. Nothing intimidates a person who is rooted in their identity because they understand that life cannot shake what was built on purpose. You become unbreakable not because life stops hitting you, but because you stop letting those hits define you. The crown of identity is not just something you wear, it is something you become. Courage is not the roar of a lion standing tall. It is the trembling heartbeat of a soul that chooses to move forward even when everything inside says to stop. Courage is often misunderstood. People think it shows up only in dramatic, heroic moments, but true courage reveals itself in the hidden corners of your daily life. It is found in the decision to rise from your bed after a night of tears. It is found in choosing to forgive when anger feels easier. It is found in believing again after disappointment has crushed your spirit. Courage is not loud, but its impact echoes through every part of your journey. Fear is a natural companion. It shadows every dream, every ambition, every leap of faith. But courage does not ask you to eliminate fear. It asks you to walk anyway. Every time you choose to step out while fear whispers worst-case scenarios, your spirit grows stronger. Every time you refuse to let fear define your future, you reclaim a piece of yourself that life tried to steal. The presence of fear does not mean you are weak. The presence of courage despite fear means you are unstoppable. There are battles in your life that nobody knows about, internal wars fought in silence, storms that rage inside your chest, doubts that scream in the back of your mind, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still trying. That is courage in its purest form. Courage is not proven in perfect victories. It is proven in persistent attempts. It is the decision to keep giving your best even when the outcome is uncertain. Courage is the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming. Many people wait for confidence before taking a step, but confidence does not precede action. Action creates confidence. The first step is shaky, unclear, uncertain, and uncomfortable, but the moment you take it, something inside you wakes up. The second step becomes lighter, the third becomes stronger, and before you know it, courage becomes your companion instead of fear. Every courageous act rewires your mind, strengthens your heart, and rebuilds your belief in yourself. Courage also demands that you stand for yourself when silence feels safer. Sometimes the hardest thing is not facing the world, it is facing your own reflection and admitting that you deserve better. Courage is walking away from what breaks you, even if it hurts. Courage is letting go of people who shrink your spirit. Courage is saying no when your heart has been trained to say yes. Courage is trusting that losing something small can make space for something sacred. There will be moments when life knocks the breath out of you. Dreams may collapse, plans may fall apart, people may fail you, but courage rises when everything else falls. Courage whispers that this is not the end. Courage reminds you that you have survived every dark night so far. Courage tells you that your story does not stop in struggle. It continues in strength. When you choose courage, you transform your entire life. You stop living in the shadows of what-ifs. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Courage lifts your chin, steadies your voice, and sharpens your destiny. It gives you permission to dream without limits, to love without fear, and to live without hesitation. Courage is not meant for a few chosen people. It lives inside every human heart, waiting to be awakened. It asks for nothing but a single step, one act of bravery that says, I will not be ruled by fear. And once you take that step, the world changes. Or maybe, more beautifully, you change. And when you change, everything around you begins to rise with you. Discipline is the quiet architect of greatness, the unseen force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. It is not dramatic, it does not seek applause, and it rarely feels exciting. Yet it is discipline that builds the life people admire from a distance. Discipline is the choice to show up on the days when motivation has left you. It is the commitment to follow through long after the excitement of the beginning has faded. It demands sacrifice, consistency, and patience. Three things many desire but few practice. Discipline asks you to step into routines that shape your future, not your comfort. It asks you to commit to habits that slowly and silently transform you from the inside out. People often wait for the perfect moment to begin, but discipline does not depend on perfect moments. It depends on decisions. If you wait for inspiration, your life will remain a cycle of short-lived efforts. But if you choose discipline, even small actions accumulate into extraordinary results. Discipline is the daily courage to choose what you should do over what you feel like doing. It is in the early mornings when sleep feels sweeter, in the late nights when exhaustion whispers excuses, and in the moments of weakness when your emotions beg for an easier path. Discipline is the voice that says, "Do it anyway." Every success story is built on unglamorous hours of practice, repetition, and focus. Behind every expert is a trail of disciplined days that no one saw. Behind every strong character is the decision to consistently rise above impulses and distractions. Discipline is the grind that sharpens potential into mastery. It is the tough mentor that refuses to let you settle. It holds you accountable when excuses seem reasonable. It pushes you toward goals that once felt too distant to chase. Discipline also shapes your mind. It teaches you to delay gratification, to endure discomfort, and to trust the process even when results seem invisible. Most breakthroughs do not come from sudden magic, but from the accumulation of disciplined days that quietly prepare you for your moment. Discipline is the spiritual and emotional muscle that strengthens every part of your life, your work, your relationships, your character, your dreams. Without discipline, passion becomes unstable, talent becomes wasted, and goals remain fantasies. There will be days when discipline feels heavy, when you question why you started, when you feel tired of the struggle. But those are the exact moments when discipline is doing its deepest work. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in resistance. Every time you push yourself beyond what is easy, you expand your capacity. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you become stronger. And every time you stay committed when quitting would be simpler, you become closer to the person you are meant to be. Discipline is also a form of self-respect. When you honor your commitments to yourself, you build trust with your own soul. You stop relying on external validation because you know you are shaping something powerful within. People who live with discipline walk differently. They carry a quiet confidence that comes from knowing they control their habits, their choices, and their direction. They are not tossed around by emotions or circumstances because discipline anchors them. One of the greatest gifts discipline gives is freedom. It frees you from regret, from chaos, from procrastination, and from the constant frustration of unfulfilled potential. It frees you to live with clarity, purpose, and progress. Discipline does not restrict you, it refines you. It takes your raw life and sculpts it into something meaningful. It teaches you that consistency beats talent, focus beats luck, and persistence beats obstacle. When discipline becomes your lifestyle, success stops being a distant dream and becomes an inevitable destination. Compassion is the crown that softens strength without weakening it. It is the quiet force that makes a person powerful not only in what they can conquer, but in what they can heal. Compassion is not a gentle emotion reserved for easy moments. It is a fierce, courageous choice to feel deeply in a world that often numbs the heart. It requires vulnerability. It requires empathy. It requires the willingness to see others not as threats or burdens, but as human beings carrying unseen battles. Compassion is a language of the soul, spoken not by words alone, but by presence, understanding, and sincerity. To show compassion is to see beyond actions and recognize the pain behind them. Sometimes people hurt others because they are hurting inside. Sometimes they distance themselves because they fear rejection. Sometimes they speak with anger because they do not know how to express their wounds. Compassion does not justify wrong behavior, but it allows you to understand the wound beneath the wound. It teaches you to respond with wisdom instead of aggression, with patience instead of judgment. It transforms enemies into humans and conflict into clarity. Compassion also asks you to love without losing yourself. Many people confuse compassion with self-sacrifice that drains the soul. True compassion is anchored in healthy boundaries. It means you give from strength, not from exhaustion. It means you care deeply without allowing others to break you. It means you understand that your heart is capable of immense kindness, but also deserving of protection. Compassion holds both truth and tenderness in the same hand. It gently says yes when it can, and firmly says no when it must. There will be times when compassion feels painful. Loving someone who is hurting can feel like carrying their storm with your bare hands. Forgiving someone who caused pain can feel like reopening a wound. Showing kindness to someone who never offered it back can feel unfair. But compassion is not about fairness. It is about the character you choose to build. It is about the kind of heart you decide to have, even when the world gives you reasons to close it. Compassion is not weakness, it is strength refined by grace. Compassion teaches you to pause before reacting.